Live from the Export Beer Garden studio, this is the agenda for Wednesday, the 21st of February, my mum's birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Mum.
bless.
The agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
She doesn't listen to these, so she'll never hear that. But
Thank God she doesn't listen.
Yep.
I mean, my dad started listening. I got the worst news ever. My dad texts me and goes, I just woke up in the middle of the night and my podcast feed suggested you, so I've started listening.
While I was going to sleep.
And immediately, the first thing I was telling a story about me shitting my pants. And it was like he's never listened before. And my girlfriend listened as well. She'd never listened to the pod before. It was just the simulation week in Gatesman. I told this disgusting true story about shitting my pants. My dad and my girlfriend tune in.
Yeah.
And I get this text, oh, babe, did you shit your pants? And then my dad saying, I've just started listening to your podcast. Did you shit your pants? I was like, the fucking...
Why is Dad calling me babe? You know, what is going on?
There's so many questions.
There's so many questions. I had the same thing when because I have a sister who's should be 11, I think, at the moment. And my dad plays every single podcast or commentary or anything for her, and I'm like, we've got a sexologist on the thing, and all I'm thinking, because you know, when you know someone you know is listening to the podcast, you kind of picture them in the room. I'm like, get her out of here. What are we doing?
But I respect your dad for that, because my son said to me the other day, he's 14, he goes, Dad, you never had said I wasn't allowed to watch anything at all, and I always watched things I didn't want to watch. And I was like, that was good parenting, that I just showed him all the horror movies, everything. You know, and then it doesn't become an issue.
No, it's right. Because
there's no secrets.
Yeah.
There's nothing exciting and terrifying. There's no skeleton in the closet. You've seen fucking everything.
This is where I think veganism comes from, is you grow up until you're like 10 without ever putting together that the mince in the fridge is the cow that you saw out in the paddock. And when you have a fully formed brain and then you make that connection, you're like, oh, well then meat's horrible. I should stop eating that. Whereas if you grow up knowing it the whole time, you never have that like shock sort of.
Yeah, my mum one day was eating a chicken, and as she was eating it, she said to her dad, growing up in Invercargill as she did, Dad, what happened to, I don't know what the chicken was named, Henny Penny?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't find Henny Penny today. And he went, you're fucking eating Henny Penny. And she was like, ah. And then she was basically on and off vegetarian unless we went anywhere near KFC for the rest of her life.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's probably on the more traumatic end of the spectrum. But, you know, if you name the lamb, you know, Christmas dinner or whatever, you put that connection together quite early doors.
Yeah.
And so...
although what we do to lamb, I love it, but you don't necessarily want to think too much about what's happening with lamb.
Because I used to work at the freezing works, and people, from time to time, people ask me if they'd ever put me off meat. And I was like, no, I'm far more connected to it than... than, you know, the average person. I know where it comes from. Yeah. Real farm-to-table sort of stuff. All right, let's get into some actual sport.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
The Black Caps are playing tonight. This is the first T20 of 3, and I love that they're packing these all in. We're going Wednesday, we're going Friday, we're going Sunday.
It's exciting. Sport's back hard. It's freaking good. There's sports all over your face this weekend. It's so good.
It's full noise. Bolty's back, but not for this game. So he's going to be back on the Friday and then Sunday games.
So he's doing the Friday and Sunday?
He's doing the Friday.
Oh, that's great. I got tickets for Eden Park on Friday.
Perfect.
Just in the East Stand, get that burn on.
What I don't understand, though, is because as someone who does a sporting podcast every day and talks a lot about cricket, the cricket teams don't name their team until about 5 minutes before the game. Why?
Yeah.
What advantage do they think that they're garnering by not revealing their team up until the last minute?
Is it that if
the pitch is a certain way?
Yeah, or if someone can't handle spin? I don't know.
But you should, I mean... Yeah.
Say like you go, are we going to play Zampi or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no New Zealanders are famously not that great at spin, obviously, because of the way we grow up.
But, like, I don't know that we've got anyone in the hutch that's that wildly different.
Whereas the All Blacks have conniptions if someone leaks the team. Like, they get the team together and it always gets leaked now. There's a leak in there. And they go, they leaked the fucking team!
As if anyone else gives a shit. South Africa don't give a shit who we field. I think South Africa have already named their starting lineup for the first game of the 2027 Rugby World Cup. I think they named it yesterday. They don't give a shit. It's I think it's cowardice to be like, oh, we don't know, we want to have a look at the pitch. And then, like we saw in the last test match, well, they waited, had a look at the pitch, and fucking got the call wrong anyway.
Yeah, they massively no. This is just pace bowlers. No need for anyone. No turn here at all.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I wouldn't say we nearly lost the test. We won it comfortably, but there was a few conniptions. Yeah. When I look at the team that Australia can choose from, though, it's quite terrifying, isn't it?
Yes.
David Warner, You got Steve Smith, you got Travis Head, you got Maxwell, you got Marsh, you got Wade, you got Zampa, then you got Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins. I mean, holy shit, is that team stacked?
Yeah, and I think that I guess the only not silver lining. I think this is going to be a great test for us. We've got, arguably the best team that we can pick from as well. But in a T20, there's such wild variance, It actually doesn't give them as much of an advantage. It's the tests where that's going to really sort of...
Yeah, but I mean, you have to get through quite a few batsmen in Australia that can take the game away from you completely.
Yeah.
There's a number of guys that can take you away from... I mean, there was that recently when we scored 300 at Eden Park in a T20 and then they beat us.
Yeah.
And that was... I mean, they can just smash it around the weekend. I mean, like, God, look at our team. I mean, we got...
Ravindra's got a chance
to
make a name for himself.
Conway's got to do something.
Yeah, and this is, again, what's on the line for a lot of these players. Like, Ravindra didn't fetch that bigger price tag when he was in the IPL auction. So, a chance to make a name for yourself as a T20 batsman. But shit,
I know. I'm just looking at our team going, we're a bit light on the batting.
Is Finn Allen will be opening there, but Seifert's out.
Yep. We've got Young, Phillips, Chapman, just people that can bat. Ravindra, Conway. Shoot.
No Kane.
No Kane.
No Kyle Jamieson. He's out as well.
I think losing Kyle Jamieson is a big fucking blow.
Yeah,
just having Jack Reacher coming in there, steepling bounce. It's just a different option, and that full ball of his that you don't know when that's going to come.
Yep.
And the big levers, he can smash it around. I mean, I was so excited he was back, and then immediately he's gone again.
Yeah, he takes like half a step wider of the crease, and all of a sudden it's a completely different angle than it was just before, when it's only, marginal difference at the point of release, but because he's so tall, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen here.
Yeah.
So, it is terrifying. And I selfishly really wanted to see him and O'Rourke coming in, double-ending it.
Oh,
Imagine getting double-ended by O'Rourke and Jamieson.
Oh, shit, yeah. That's a massive double dick shrinker in size.
Yeah, they just about touch tips at halfway down the pitch. They're both coming in. So it should be pretty interesting.
Oh, I'm very excited about it. And it's one of those things, the TAB's got Australia at like, $1.49 or something, and we're at $2.55. So even our own TAB's against us. But I don't know. I think that's probably fair enough, but it is New Zealand and it is T20, and
anything could happen.
And how good is it to have Australia here? The real fucking deal.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because this is the Chappell Hadley series, which I didn't realise was now a T20 series.
Yeah,
because Chappell Hadley was always the ODIs.
Yeah, but when Party Marty said that out in the office, I was like, oh, poor old Party Marty's got it wrong. It's only an ODI game. And then I checked it. It's like, oh, Party Marty's right.
Party Marty is right. Te Reo Marty, he's in charge of flavour. Who's just sharing office.
Te Reo Marty, Party Marty.
Yeah, but he's right, and it's changed because they don't play us at ODIs anymore.
No.
So
I fear for ODIs. I fear for them, but I guess everyone does, apart from the World Cup. It's like, because if you can get Australia down for 3 games and they can blast it out in 3 days.
Yeah.
4 days.
They're going to do that.
They're going to do that, but if you invite them down to ODIs, they're like, we're busy, we don't have that kind of time. But you can get them down here for ODIs and tests. They'll do that. Yeah,
it is interesting. I think I don't know what the space for ODIs is going forward, but I don't know. We'll see how we go. Moving on, but still remaining cricket adjacent, the Oamaru Mayor has hit back at David Warner. Did you see the story yesterday? David Warner just randomly fired a couple of strays at Oamaru. So about a decade ago, he played 2 games for Northern Districts when he was on the come-up, and one of the games they must have played against Otago in Oamaru. And he was going on about how he's just like, he couldn't believe it was such a ghost town. I found myself yesterday having to issue an apology because I, for once, agreed with David Warner. I fucking hate Oamaru too.
Do you?
Yeah. I went to school there.
Yeah. Oh, you're at St. Kevin's, eh?
I was at St. Kevin's.
Yeah. Well, that's a brutal thing. I mean, there is the Regina factory across the road, but that might have been shut down when you were there.
No, the Regina was...
Regina was still operational?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Regina
There's no Regina, but there's a bit of Regina.
Oh, I'd hit the Regina hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would walk down from the boarding school, from the boarding hostel down there and hit the Regina hard.
Yeah.
It's the only Regina.
Was everyone still smoking at... Because it was famous for as a smoking school, St. Kevin's. Like, we'd play sport against St. Kevin's and everyone would be smoking on the sideline.
No, not anymore. But glorious looking school down there on the hill. They got the castle. We actually had a golf course there as well. It sounds flashier than it actually is, castle and golf course and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But a big hill around the first 15 ground, which is it was a pretty cool looking school.
You play a bit of footy on razor sharp ice at the right time of the year, where it's just hitting the grounds like basically concrete with spikes out of it.
Yeah, you will. But, I mean, that's anywhere in the South Island, I think. You're going to come across that. Well, the Oamaru Mayor has hit back. He's not going to take this lying down. He's struck back at David Warner. Gary Kircher is the bloke's name. He said, I can't help but feel for Warner. He may have had his experience in Oamaru dampened by being caught behind after only 6 balls.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I love that Kircher's looked this up. He also pointed to business growth around the town, including a reference to local Mitre 10 Mega, which he says has a wide range of sandpaper and other abrasive products, something Mr. Warner is more familiar with.
Oh, look at that.
This is good.
Oamaru throwing fire back at fucking Warner. That's good. I like when a mayor comes in with a bit of comedy. That's good stuff.
Yeah, because we were saying this yesterday. Why does everyone just gloss over the fact that he sandpapered the ball? Like,
yeah,
we say, particularly the Australian media, they talk all around what it is he actually did.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, let's just move on, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, let's move on. You sure? Let's move on. No, you fucking sandpapered the ball.
No, you sandpapered the ball,
You fuck. You sandpapered the ball and, I mean, like, Bancroft got it in the arse, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't get the opportunity to sit up there and cry.
No, he didn't. He just got disappeared.
Yeah, he got Putin. He got sent to the gulags of professional cricket. And but I just hate that every time he's interviewed and he sits there and he talks all holier than thou and he's like, oh, look, if they have to lower themselves to that, then that's on them. But I just go out there and do my job.
You sandpapered the fucking ball.
You sandpapered the ball.
Yeah, you sandpapered the fucking ball. You orchestrated it. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
You've done terrible things. You king hit Joe Root in a bar.
You tried to fight Steve Smith, which I'm not too angry about, at Lords when that footage emerged. But it's like, I don't know, he just talks around the awful. It's classic cheaters behaviour. They talk all around what it is that they actually did.
Yeah.
And what he actually did was sandpaper the ball. And when he's saying, oh, people want to pay the money and come and sit here and all they want to do is slag people off, that's on them. It's like, no, they want to come and watch a fair contest between their team and another team. And you took that away from them because you cheated. And now because you did that, how do we know you're not still doing some variation of that?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, you never get to have the moral high ground ever again.
No. I'm sorry.
That's it. You sold it. I mean, you were allowed to come back to cricket after a year?
Yes.
That's fine.
That's fine. You get to play cricket.
Yeah, but you never have the moral high ground again.
Yeah, but
that's a given.
And I think that's fair.
It's fair.
And he's like, oh, I don't like that. Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, we don't want you to like it.
We didn't like it when you cheated.
No.
We don't know how long. Years, potentially.
Well, absolutely. We didn't know how long.
Yeah.
Also, fucking Bill Ralston, Mitchell Stark, whenever this comes up.
Yeah.
He fucking knew. The idea that he didn't know, come on.
There've been deep dives, and I'd encourage you to look these up, around the stats, his stats before then and his stats after, and they are drastic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do your own research on that.
It's like, oh, the ball's reversing. That's weird. I won't investigate that at all or think about what might have happened to the ball. I'm not interested in the state of the ball. That's not something, as a swinging pace bowler, I'm interested in. So, anyway, God, we could go. Let's relitigate it again another time. Yeah,
well, if you want to come down and relitigate it with us this very Friday afternoon, you can do that because we're going to be at the Empire, which is just a couple of blocks away from the studio here for the official ACC Ultra pre-game event. We've got export merchandise up for grabs, a heap of Steady the Ship hats to give away, which are rare as hen's teeth at the moment. Live music and free buses to the game for the first 100 punters in the door. Text Ultra to 3236 for all the details.
Is that Ruda?
I think it could. I certainly hope it is.
Ruda from the Matt and Jerry Breakfast Show on Radio Hauraki, 6 to 9 weekdays.
Yep, he does a great job. Macford, I think they go by one of the great covers bands of all time.
He's safe today at the Super Bowl the other day, but let's not go into that.
I was blind drunk the first time I saw them. I was like, who were those guys that were playing? And they were like, oh, it was just Jeremy and his mate. And I was like, there's only 2 of them?
Yeah.
Why did it sound like there was a 5-piece band?
Yeah.
But it's not. And so you can go and cheer them on and listen to them ahead of the fixture on Friday at the Empire. That is in Auckland. So sorry, but we are going to get around the country as the year progresses. Quick ad, Matt Heath, and then we'll be right back because somebody in the mainstream media has been talking about us. Matt Heath, I don't know if you're familiar with the platform.
Yep, the platform. It's got Martin Devlin on it, I believe.
It does.
It's a Sean Plunkett.
Yes.
And it's a radio station, but it's only online, I believe.
Yeah, I guess sort of like the ACC is.
There's another radio station kind of like it that peppers my mailbox with flyers.
Oh, is it the reality check one?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's sort of that kind of type of radio station.
Yeah, real sort of old man shouts at clouds type thing. You mentioned Martin Devlin's on there. He is. And from time to time, he has Mark Watson on there, Watto. I've worked with Watto.
Yep.
You know, he's a great broadcaster. He doesn't think much of us. Here's what he had to say about us when they were talking about commentary teams just about a month ago.
But I think the other danger is that a lot of commentators want to be the star of the show. They want to be the celebrity. You know, I've got zero time for that stuff like the ACC, whatever they call it, the alternative cricket commentary. I just think that stuff is just cringeworthy. I think they've made it, you know, the moment those guys are on, it's all about them. And I just want to watch the game. And I just want to get on with it. And I know that there's some sort of parody to it, but I just think it just starts to wear thin a little bit after a while. But
that's what Watto made of us.
I've got a great idea. Don't listen to us. It's not compulsory. You have to go out of your way to hear us, you fucking muppet. Also, you're such a pussy. You turned your back on Jesse Ryder in the boxing ring. You talked up a big game, Watto. You slagged him off. You said he wasn't an athlete. And then when you got into the ring, you were such a chicken that you turned your back and he beat the living shit out of you. It's like David Warner. It's like that moment when he talked big about Jesse Ryder, and Jesse Ryder, who may have a little bit more weight than other athletes, is still an athlete unlike you.
Oh yeah, and one of the most gifted athletes. Well, I love when we get this feedback about people not enjoying the commentary, being like, you had to go so far out of your way to even hear what we were doing.
Yeah,
and then when they're like, why can't you guys just stop and commentate the game like normally? It's like that exists.
Yeah, and if you look at the title, it's the Alternative Commentary Collective. It was designed as an alternative to the mainstream comedy.
Yeah,
so it was different. The clue is in the name.
Yeah.
Like there is the commentary,
the
missionary position, you go for your life.
100%.
Or you want our special brand that we've invented of our type of commentary that we do for our audience, and plenty of people enjoy that as well.
Yeah, which also didn't exist until we started doing it. So,
it's like
we don't have to do it whatever way you want us to.
These fucking chicken sandwich people can get fucked. I fucking hate a chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Don't buy the chicken sandwich, mate. Have the beef sandwich right beside it. All right?
That's fine.
But funny. Yeah. Love it, though.
I love it, too. We're in their head. Free.
Oh, this is great. It's great that someone he's gone out of his way to listen to us to be annoyed.
Because the platform is usually reserved for slagging off the Labour Party and wokeism and all that sort of thing. And so for us to have penetrated that, I think that's big for the ACC.
Well, the one thing you can't say about us is that we're woke. He couldn't take us down on the wokeness.
We're not too dissimilar, us in the platform.
Yeah, that's like when you meet the bad guy in a movie. We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, we're not. I think in a lot of people's books we are the bad guy. Some actual sport, Matt Heath. The Warriors are playing their second pre-season game this upcoming week. You can't really read anything into these pre-season games.
No, in fact, I prefer us to lose them.
Yeah, and we did against the Tigers.
Yeah, we did lose, and that's fine, and that was in Christchurch. Big crowd in Christchurch.
Huge crowd. Christchurch is a big rugby league town.
Yeah, that's freaking great.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, do we want another franchise? I'm sure you've talked about it. I'm like, does that grow the game to the point where the game just gets bigger, or is it because I love that it's the One New Zealand Warriors. It's just a great name, the One New Zealand Warriors. They're the New Zealand Warriors. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
And you're right, because when they talked about before they brought the Dolphins in, they were like, oh, do we put another one in Christchurch? And I got to be honest, if you look at the Warriors, they were brought in to do exactly that.
Yeah.
And all that's happened is our best and brightest talent gets siphoned off by the Australian clubs at the age of like 16.
Yeah.
There's no one really in our team. There's not that many players that came up, were brought up through the ranks and straight into the Warriors. If they get any decent, if they get good enough, they're gone anyway. And most of the good players that we have been overseas, and we've now got them back at the latter part of their career. So I don't think that a Christchurch thing is going to mean more people are going to play rugby league in Christchurch.
Yeah, right.
But it would,
if there's a certain amount of money to bring some Australian players over.
Yeah, that's right. And all it would do is encourage Australian high schools to poach more of our players from rugby union potentially. But it would give the fans something to watch, because growing up down there, it was like every time the Tigers brought their home game to Christchurch, I was like, this is fucking awesome. I want to go watch the league.
Yeah, and Christchurch it's got a good population base for supporting the sport.
Yeah.
But I just love what happened with the Warriors last year. It was freaking every especially after what happened to the Warriors the year before that, when I lost so much money on them. So, but that's a personal issue that I've got to move on from. Yeah. That was my own fault.
But you're right though. It's the New Zealand team. It's our point of difference.
It's like if the All Blacks played a lot more.
Yeah, it sort of
and a better
dilutes
game.
it.
Yeah, so with the Warriors, well, every game means something. So the All Blacks, I mean, I've talked about this before. All Blacks play some games, and some of them mean something, and some of them don't. It's like having the All Blacks, the Warriors, when the whole country's behind them. It's like if the All Blacks play, but every game fucking means something.
Yeah.
Every game means something.
Yeah, massively. Either for the standings or a test against a top flight team, or these kind of things. You're so right. But anyway, yeah. So all of the big guns are back in this week. I reckon they'll only play about 20 minutes, the starting players, and then they'll bench them because their benches go about 30 players deep.
Terrible news about Chance.
Yeah, Chance is out. He's got a hammy niggle. I think if this
three games.
Yeah, I think if this was a game of some sort of consequence, he would be playing. But because it's pre-season, they're just like, nah.
Okay, good.
But then everyone was like, oh, well, do you move Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back to fullback? But I don't think you do that. If you want him, you just need him to get as many reps at centre as possible.
You want him to remember how to play league.
Yeah, that's first and foremost.
Because I think people going back to league from Union, I mean, it goes all right. I mean,
he went so good on the weekend, just been. So I don't think we need to see too much more from him. We certainly don't need him to be swapping around positions this early into the season. Just quickly, Zion Maiu, who was charged with a reckless high tackle, had it downgraded, so it's a 2-game ban. We are desperately short in prop stocks, so we kind of need him.
You can't give bans in pre-season games. What are you fucking doing?
You can't, but you also can't admit that you're not going to give bans in pre-season games because that's when people get killed.
That's when people try and take out superstars pre-season.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a bit of this.
Oh yeah, okay, now I get it. That makes sense. There's logic there.
Stacey Jones is set to be appointed as the Kiwis coach. I feel like this is a bit of a no-brainer. You have to have Stacey as the.
So he's just there to plug whatever gap needs to be plugged for league in this country. He's the fix-it man. He's Sally's no more gaps. Just plug him in there and he'll do a good job.
And don't make him go into meetings or front face the board or do any of that shit. Get a team around him to do the X's and O's, all the admin, and he's just there because he's Stacey fucking Jones.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to him when he tells you what to do. And just finally on the rugby league, Wakefield beat Newcastle in the second division of the Super League over in the UK. This is a record 110-0.
Wow.
Over the weekend. Former Warrior Mason Lenor scored a record 38 points, which is 3 tries, 13 goals. He only took over the kicking after the 5th try, so you'd have to think that he left 10 points out on the table and potentially another try. There needs to be a mercy rule, I think, in professional sports.
There's a bit of that in the States.
Is that?
Yeah, in American football.
Oh, there's a mercy rule?
Yeah, it's just considered impolite to just keep running it up on a team.
Yes, yeah.
So they don't, if teams beat and there's a problem with their, with the defence or whatever, they don't run it up because there was recently an opportunity. I think it was the Chiefs had an opportunity to really pile some points on someone, and they didn't. It goes, why didn't you go for the record? And I was asking American friend of mine's American fan. He goes, it's considered. It's uncouth to run up points on people.
Yes,
like they're the most competitive countries in the world in their sport. They're fucking ruthless.
Yeah,
but then there's just those little things around it, Like
it's like that in basketball too. But they brought in a new in-season tournament where the points differential mattered, and all of a sudden teams had to start running scores up on the other teams, and they found themselves in this weird area where the tradition is you don't run scores up, but we're tied with this other team, so we need to fucking
run the score up.
And I'm of the school, if you don't want them to run the score up, stop them. You're out there, you're playing defense.
The All Blacks have never thought like that. When Mark Ellis is scoring 6 tries against Japan, we're like, run it up, run it up,
brother.
But it's interesting. There's different rules, the different ways of looking at things. Like in baseball, the way you run, you hit a home run, and if you run the bases too cocky, then it'll clear the benches and they'll beat the shit out of you. So you're allowed to celebrate so much, but there's a line where you don't celebrate hitting a home run too much, or the bench will clear to beat the shit out of you for taking piss out of the pitcher.
Which is important because that's self-regulation, isn't it? It's like the enforcer in ice hockey. It actually calms the game down if you know there's a consequence for being a douchebag.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's a very interesting one. But 110-0 is, I just can't imagine how often they were scoring tries because it's running clock too. So it would have been a staggering amount. Moving on to netball, the Silver Ferns job. They are asking Dame Nolene Taurua to reapply for that job. They're asking you, the public, to reapply as well. It has been listed online for the first time ever. So this is usually done,
closed doors.
Closed doors. No. There is an ad on sportnz.org. You can go and look it up right now. Applications are open. They close Friday the 8th of March 2024. I had a look on Trade Me Jobs and on Seek to see if it was on there. It's not. But it's a little bit embarrassing, I think, for them to be taking online applications.
Wouldn't it be a situation where you know the pool of potential coaches out there and then you have a lunch or dinner with each one of them? The idea that there's a fucking kick-ass national coach just somewhere down in the middle of the South Island that
Googling netball jobs.
that you're going to just be able to winkle out, pull them out from under a rock. They go, oh, yeah, and get them on board. it's pretty funny.
It is. It's so bizarre because they have it. Obviously, it's a job listing. So job description is the first thing. The Silver Ferns are the national netball team of New Zealand. And they explain what the Silver Ferns are.
I reckon throw my CV in and they better come back to me with why. I don't get it.
Yeah. 100%.
I hate those people you throw CV in, they don't come back with anything.
Oh, no.
They'll be like, you're not, because you've never played netball. You've had no experience in this at all. And you just weren't quite right for the job.
Well, this is the thing. On any job listing, you know how they have that little thing? It's like, a bit about you. You will be a top-flight netball coach. You'll have a tertiary qualification in sports management. You'll have this, this, and this. It's like such a prohibitive list. There must only be about...
You will already be knowledge. We'll already know who you are.
Yeah.
You will operate in the same circles as us.
That's right. What is
you
this?
will probably be a close friend of most of us here.
What is this saying about the Silver Ferns management that they're like, look, we don't know. We don't know. Someone could be out there that we haven't heard of that fits.
Norma Plummer is just out there somewhere, like at a holiday home down in Arrowtown or something.
Yeah. It's like, what? I don't know. Is this some sort of tactic? Is it? This just seems bizarre. But I had a look at some of the other jobs that they had listed on sportsnz.org. Tasman Rugby Union are looking for a chief executive. You could throw your hat in the ring for that. Royal Oak Bowls Club are looking for a club manager.
No, you have to be brave to go through the Royal Oak roundabout to get to that. You know, they're losing a lot of people in the Royal Oak roundabout, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to crash, but I know where, and it's at the fucking Royal Oak roundabout. And there is a job listing for a chief executive, Girl Guiding NZ.
Well, once again, I don't think they'd take me for that job.
No, I don't think they will. But we'll take one more quick break, give you an opportunity to go and get your CV together to apply for that Silver Ferns job, and we'll be back with a half-baked sports idea. All right, matey, every Wednesday I like to run you through a half-baked sports idea, and today is no different, so let's get into it.
Half-baked sports idea.
For the longest time, I've been trying to bring sports washing to our shores. One of the ideas that we had was the Saudi suitcase. Where,
oh, yep.
Have you heard of the Saudi suitcase idea?
No.
It's basically the Ranfurly Shield, but for Super Rugby, and instead of a shield, it's a suitcase with about $500 million in it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you win it, your team gets to divvy that money up between yous.
That's a good idea.
So it's a sudden influx of cash without disrupting the tournament too much.
Saudi suitcase, yeah.
So now instead of having to go and do a sabbatical in Japan, there is all of a sudden $500 million up for grabs whenever you challenge for the Saudi suitcase.
Yeah, and then you could roll one of those notes up and snort plaster off the top of it like they did with the Ranfurly Shield.
And I don't think anyone would have a problem with it either.
No.
The Saudis certainly wouldn't. But today's idea is a little bit different. I am calling it the ACC sports washing. Basically, Sunday afternoon games is something we've all been calling for, but often Sunday is the day that we use to do our life admin. You'll be painting your house.
Yeah.
You need to do, clean the house up. You need to do your laundry, this kind of thing. But there's nothing better than watching a bit of the Warriors on a Sunday afternoon out at Mount Smart. So my idea is, take your laundry with you to Mount Smart to watch the Warriors on a Sunday afternoon. You drop it at the gate. We take it off to get laundered, and when you leave the grounds at the end of the game, it's been cleaned and pressed.
How freaking good would that be?
The ACC sports washing.
Shit, yeah.
I mean,
So that's also great because you're like going to your girlfriend. I'm going to the Warriors. That's one thing. I'm going to do the washing is a totally different thing.
Oh, maybe you could be like, hey, me and 5 of my closest mates are going to head to the laundromat this afternoon. We're going to get the washing sus.
Are you going to come home between? No, we'll sit there and watch both cycles.
Well, we wouldn't want someone to come and nick it out of the machine or whatever.
And then when you stroll in, dump the washing down, absolutely steamed, and then fire truck the corner of the room, they're like, are they serving drinks at the laundromat now? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think this is brilliant because I have heard of dudes who will put like the whole kit on, paint their faces, put the jerseys on as if they're going to the game, but they actually just go to the pub and just sit at the pub and watch the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because
I think G Lane does that.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually gone a step further and invented an entire alternative commentary that he has to go and do. So, sorry, I've got to go. It's actually my job. So I'm going to go and watch the game. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like
that was a brilliant idea. I mean, like they do it at airports. Like you drop your car off and you can get your car cleaned.
Yeah.
And you know,
cleaned and pressed.
Cleaned and pressed and returned to you. So there's precedent in it. It's kind of like just a valet situation for the clothes. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
The only problem is like taking your laundry to Mount Smart is probably pretty wounding, but
yeah,
that's on you.
That's on you. Yeah, you sort it out. You get a big bag.
Yeah,
no worries. That's a great idea.
Maybe we get ACC branded bags. I feel like this has got legs. This is something we could do. And just finally, before we knock this thing on the head, we like to mop up the news stories of the day. And I was actually part of one of the news stories last night because Auckland Transport and their infinite wisdom have redone all the bus stops around the suburb that I live. And they've done a good job of it, right up until they had to paint the bus stop. And one of them on the main street of the suburb that I live in, they have misspelled bus stop. It is written bus, SOTP.
Yeah, I saw the story, and I reckon there's two possibilities. A, and look, I can't spell, so I'm not nickel and diming anyone, but sure. A, they haven't noticed it, or B, they've noticed it and gapped it.
Oh, it's definitely B. Because
you're like, oh, fuck's sake, it's the end of the day. Oh, my God. And one Muppet, it'll be a junior Muppet. It'll be like an apprentice or such.
But I've never seen one person operating on roadworks by themselves. It's usually 4 or 5 people. So this has happened. I reckon 2 people have been sitting in the truck watching the junior do it and elbowed each other and go, check this out. He's written SOTPA. Do you want to tell him? Should we tell him?
No.
You don't tell them, do you? And
what was the cost to the Auckland ratepayer for that?
Egregious.
It'll be something like that. SOP. That's SOP. We can't actually Auckland Transport, because you know they're not the most popular people after spending $500,000
on nothing,
turning pedestrian crossings into pedestrian crossings, as our rates go up and up. But they have come out and said it was a contractor that did that, not us. And the contractors are going to have to pay for the repairs.
They distance themselves from it.
Yeah.
I think we would all be in agreement. Just leave it there.
Leave it. Everyone still knows what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a little quirk.
It's the SOT.
It's a Let's Gone Warriors. You know?
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we'll knock that on the head for today. We'll be back tomorrow with a Thursday edition of the Agenda podcast, and we'll see you then, or potentially at your local bus SOTPA. Hooroo.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.